participants for today's session, and thanks for having me here. It's my pleasure and honor to be the part of this session. Today's session, basically, okay, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen? I hope everyone can see my screen here. Okay. As you know that this session has divided into two weeks, which is today and the 14th of March. So today we will be learning a delve or structural equation modeling, where we will learn the mediating, moderating, and as well as how to build a model. And then the next session, which will be held on 14th March, where we will learn about the NCA. Okay, so before I start the session, I would like to request all of you, can you scan this QR code and give your input? Because this will be very helpful for me to understand our participants. It will take only 1-2 minutes. Please, everyone, scan your QR code and give your input, which will be very, very helpful for me to design my training content based on the needs of my audience. Okay, let me share the results so everyone can see here. So it will be very, very helpful for me. In fact, what I can see from here that most of my audience for today are participants in these sessions are beginners. Okay, 33% are intermediate and 11% are advanced. Okay, 36% are intermediate and okay. So I strongly believe that this session will be very, very helpful for the beginners, and also and advanced also can learn interesting things that has developed for this. I wholeheartedly thanks to all of you for giving your quick response, and let's go back to our slides. Okay, so it is an important question for us that what is the difference between structural equation modeling and other forms of multivariate analysis, or when we should start actually, or when is the right time, or when is the right situation that we should conduct this structurally, because you have independent and dependent variable and just start structural equation modeling that because you have that skill. Usually most of us as a beginner, we would think what would be the right context for applying this structural equation modeling. See, this multivariate analysis where they can apply or can analyze the multiple dependent, multiple independent, multiple mediating and moderating in a simultaneous manner. That is the main advantages of applying this structural equation modeling. So in your model, if you have only independent and dependent, or probably you have only one independent and one dependent variable, the structural equation modeling is not required. You can simply apply for the analysis, and that is sufficient for you to report. However, if your model has more than one independent variable, one dependent variable, moderating, mediating. In other words, if your model is very complicated, if your model depicts the complicated relationship, in that scenario, definitely the structural equation modeling would be the one of your best choices. So some of the situation where you should use the structural equation modeling: number one, testing the theoretical model. Secondly, analyzing the complex relationship. Just now I explained to you. Work with the latent variable. Usually in our behavioral science, we use the, behavioral research, we use the latent variable. I'm sure that you have a knowledge about the latent variable. The latent variable is nothing but when it is, other words, it is called unobserved variable. So probably I will not delve about this matter. I will not explain about this matter because today's session is not related to the variable. So I believe that you have knowledge about this latent variable. Then assessing the mediation and moderating effect and comparing model across the group. So these are the 5 situations are the most appropriate to apply the structural equation model. But there are 2 types of structural equation modelings of covariance-based SME and partial least square SME. Today, our session will mainly focusing on partial least PLS-SME instead of the covariance SME. It is because we are using a SmartPLS. Indeed, the SmartPLS 4 has the ability, they enhance their services by adding this CV-SEM. Probably we will, if you are interested, you can join some other session. However, today we will be focusing on PLS-SME. So the question is, when does PLS-SME is appropriate, or when we should apply this PLS-SME? So the PLS-SME is appropriate when working with exploratory research instead of confirming the theory. Okay, so there are 2 things. For example, you develop your conceptual framework and you want to apply, you want to test the hypothesis. In that case, PLS-SME would be one of the best choices for you. However, if you say adding any variable, then your CV-SME would be the best option. So again, I will not delve into the CV-based SEM. I will mainly focusing on this PLS-SEM. So the PLS is appropriate when your sample size is more than 200 or non-normal data. Usually, most of the primary researcher nowadays encounter this problem that our data is not normal. It's not normal due to many reasons, because we are dealing with the consumer individual's perception, individual's attitude. Therefore, sometimes you may encounter this situation where your data is not normal. So in that, the PLS-SME would be the best choice. And then PLS-SME also appropriate when your goal is to predict the modeling rather than testing model fit. As I mentioned just now, that we would not necessarily model. Instead, you can explore some new variable, adding in your model, and you can test with the PLS-SME. Last but not least, the PLS-SME is appropriate when using the formative measure model. I will discuss about it. Definitely, even in the reflective measure also appropriate for the PLS-SME. So we will be learning about little bit about the formative and reflective model a little later. These are some of the reasons. I'm sure that this slides has shared with you. So you can actually justify the reasons of choosing the PLS-SME whenever you write a paper. It's not that you just simply say that I want to use the PLS-SME. You must justify, or you must give a reason that why you chose this. So these are the main reasons that where PLS-SME is most appropriate and you can apply. So now the question is, what is the process of the PLS-SEM, or how you can execute this novel technique? So the structural equation modeling can apply broadly in a 2 types of the measurement model and assessing of the structural model. So before you start interpreting your structural model, it is very important for you to assess the measurement model first. Because if any issues not appropriate at the level of measurement model, you should not apply or you should not predict your structural model, because it has direct effect on the structural model. So therefore, at first, everyone should test your measurement model. So when we measure our measurement model, there are 3 important components that you have to observe. Number 1 is internal consistency reliability, convergent validity, and discriminant validity. Okay, so convergent validity and discriminant validity are the critical component for the primary research because you use the questionnaire. And mostly when we use the questionnaire, we just adopt or adapt the questionnaire. Therefore, it is very important for us to ensure that we have the both conversion as well as the discriminant validity. Without giving or without ensuring these validities, you should not go for the structural model. Okay, so definitely today we are going to learn about all these issues, that how you can assess your measurement model and move on to the structural model as well. So when you talk about the internal consistency, there are two important components that you have to report to your thesis or in your paper. One is Cronbank alpha and also the composite reliability. Not to worry about that. Probably those the beginner, it sounds very technical, but it will be very easy when we start doing the work using the SmartPLS 4 software. And in order to ensure your conversion validity, we must focus on outer loading, AVE. These are the two important things that you can ensure you that you have conversion validity. And discriminant validity also talks about the cross loading and HTMT. In fact, when you write a paper for Q1 journal, definitely HTMT is more than enough for you to report. Not necessarily you have to talk about the cross loading. However, if you, because we have a limitation in the words and the table and the page number, therefore sometimes you can omit the cross loading, but you have to report the HTMT. Once you confirm all these important criteria, once you settle down with your measurement model, then we can proceed to the structural model. So in the structural model, mainly we will be focusing on this, we will be focusing on this collinearity assessment by using the VIF. Then the coefficient determination we will be using for the R square, path coefficient assessment for the hypothesis testing, and also the importance performance map analysis. It is depending on if you require or not. However, these are the main things that you have to focus when you apply the structural equation modeling. Now, as I mentioned that there are two types of model that you can create. One is called reflective construct, one is called formative construct. So this is very important concept for you to understand that which SEM techniques is appropriate for which model or which approach you use for your model. So now the question is reflective model and the formative model are very crucial, especially in this in the advanced era of SmartPLS, because when you use a formative construct and if you if you apply PLS-SEM, definitely your paper or thesis will be rejected, because the formative construct mainly use the covariance. If you see this picture, both diagram, you can find there is a huge difference where one is this error term and where there is no error term. Okay, this is the most important thing that you have to understand. And also, if you observe, there is an arrow here. One arrow is going out from the latent variable, and one in another, on the other hand, if you look at here, the arrow is going toward the latent variable. So the formative construct mainly focusing on the form the latent variable, whereas in the reflective, all this construct reflect your variable. Again, I am not going to delve detail about this model. However, we will be focusing on reflective construct today. For the today's purpose, we will be only using the reflective model, and then we proceed to the PLS-SEM. So if you look at here, these are the comparison between reflective and formative model. So the direction I already talked about it. And if you look at the reflective model, you can look here, the indicator correlation should be high. That means the correlation, if you look at the correlation between this indicator, we assume that it should be high. It should be high. And the construct meaning that remain the same. So the meaning of this construct will be remain the same. There will be no changes in interpreting their attributes. And validation criteria, internal consistency is more than enough. Whereas in the formative model, the VIF plays an important role. You see, the reflective model, probably the VIF is not that important. However, in order to ensure internal consistency, these are the measures. If you can focus, is more than enough for you to mention that you have a proper internal consistency. Some of the example of the reflective model is called satisfaction, brand loyalty, and trust. And the formative model talks about socioeconomic status, marketing mix, what forms something. Okay, so when we evaluate the PLS-SEM, even if you look here, as I mentioned, the PLS-SEM is appropriate for both approach, reflective and formative. However, it is most appropriate for the reflective measure, not the formative measure. Okay, so we will be focusing on these steps when we report our analysis. So in the evaluation of the measurement model, again, indicator reliability, internal consistency, convergent validity, our AVE, and discriminant validity. So these are the four important criteria that you should apply when you measure your measurement model for the reflective measure. And then once you start measuring the structural model, these are the important criteria that we will be focusing on. One is called VIF, significance and relevance of the structural model relationship, which is path coefficient. Again, not to worry, I will be showing you what are the indicators should be there. And the explanatory power, which is R square. And the predictive power, we will be using the F square and the Q square. And last but not least is the model comparison if it is required. So now, when it talks about the reflective model, this is just for a basic understanding. And in fact, you can use these techniques when you write your paper. I presented all this threshold using the sources. So it will be very important for you to, I think I lost my presentation. Excuse me. One second. Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yes, bro.
Okay, thank you. Okay, see, these are the indicators I give along with your citation so that it will be easier for you to cite when you write the paper. Okay, so these are the latest citation. In fact, this 1988 is still, it is applicable in today's world. If you look at this foreign what is called 1981, it is still valid for today's world, in the current world. So don't worry about that these two are very old references and how you can improve it. Yes, you just follow this one, is also applicable, no issue for that. So these are the guideline threshold that we must adhere when we interpreted our measurement model. So first, outer loading. So what they mentioned, that outer loading basically measure how well this each indicator represents its latent variable. Okay, because when we measure the behavioral variables like satisfaction, your perception, your loyalty, we must use indicators. You have to understand the indicators. Indicators, the word actually comes from indication. Indication. For example, how do you know you are very happy? Probably you are smiling. So when you smile, people think that, okay, you are very happy. So smile is an indicator of your happiness. The variable here is happiness. However, the indicator is the smile. So don't get confused with the smile and happiness, because happiness is considered the latent variable. We cannot see whether you are happy or not, but we can see all the indicators. That's why we always use indicators and latent variable. So as a researcher, we can find out the latent variable using the indicators. So how do you know what is your threshold for these indicators of reliability? It should be more than 0.708. It's an ideal. We expect that each of the indicator loading on the latent variable should be more than 0.708. However, 0.40 to 0.70 is acceptable if AVE and CR are good. Okay. So there is always a balance, because sometimes we cannot really reach or cannot really obtain the ideal number. However, there is some kind of suggestions given by researchers who are very expert in this quantitative research. and structural equation modeling. Like for example, here ETL, he clearly mentioned that yeah, if suddenly your measure doesn't reach to 0.708, then you have to check your AVE and CR. If the AVE and CR is good, so any range between this will be also acceptable. Then internal consistency, which is called composite reliability. In the composite reliability, it is very, very popular. Everyone knows that it should be more than 0.70, which is acceptable. And even 0.60 to 70 is exploratory research. Like for example, you use a totally a new variable which has not been measured by any of the prior studies. In that scenario, definitely anything between 0.60 to 70, you can also suggest, or I mean, you can also accept with that range by mentioning that my variable is, we are doing exploratory research. We are not doing any confirmatory research. Okay. Then what is the convergent validity? Convergent validity actually can be measured by using the AVE. This it helps to measure the extent to which indicator correlate with their construct. Okay? How much they correlate with each and every construct. And what is our threshold? It should be more than 0.05, and at least 50% of the variance should be explained. Should be explained for that latent variable. See, these are the threshold that everyone should remember. Why? Because when you become expert of looking at all those numbers, and if you can remember all this threshold, it will be very easy for you to evaluate your model. Besides, there is a one advantages of using the Smart PLS is the color form, because Smart PLS 4 has two colors. One is oh sorry, three colors, my bad. There is a green color, just normal white color, and there is a red color. So usually green color means you pass all the threshold, which is a good indicator. And in fact, this is one of the advantages of using the Smart PLS, unlike other software they may not have. So for your for make it easy to understand all those value, the Smart PLS apply coloring system. So in this coloring system, you will can easily understand that whether you pass or you don't pass. Okay, so our AVA should be more than 0.05, and the citations is this. And discriminant validity, you actually can conduct the discriminant validity by using these two different form. Okay, one is called Fornell-Likert criterion, and one is called heterate monotrate ratio. So the heterate monotrate ratio should be less than 0.090, which is very much liberal, and it should be less than 0.05, which is very conservative. And usually we use this guideline. So if it is more than 0.90, then definitely something wrong with your discriminant validity, and you have to probably recollect the data, or you have to check your questionnaire again. And the VIF, again, the multi-collinearity test that when you do, it's checked for redundancy among the indicators. Usually, if there is a very high correlation among your what is called construct or the indicators, not construct, sorry, indicators, and if the VIF is more than 5, that is considered that you have high multi-collinearity problem, and you should arrange or re-evaluate your questionnaire. So I hope that all the applicants remember these, or don't worry, for today we can refer again and again of all those threshold, but in your future, when you write your paper or when you do your thesis, definitely these are the threshold that you can easily check against your actual value, which will be very, very helpful for you. Okay, and then after that, the fitness index for reflective structural model. Once you confirm your measurement model is succeed with all those threshold, then next thing is we will measure our structural model. So in this structural model, what are the important indicators that we should focus again? One is called R square, because R square will help to measure the explanatory power of the independent variable on the dependent variable. In other words, to what extent the independent variable explain the dependent variable, and the threshold is actually 0.75, which is substantial. 0.50 is moderate, and 0.25 is a weak. So definitely we can understand that you can support your I square even with 0.25. However, the explanatory power of that independent variable on that particular dependent variable is very weak. So it may not be sufficient to justify that, yes, these are the independent variables are very important for your model. Therefore, if you ask my personal opinion, what would be the best? R square should be more than at least 0.50, at least 0.50, which we can suggest, especially in the exploratory research, we can suggest that yes, we have a moderate prediction power or explanatory power of this independent variable on dependent. And there is an adjusted R square. Adjusted R square is nothing but the R square minus the standard error. However, adjusted R square is more accepted compared to R square because R square value has include the standard error, whereas the adjusted R square exclude that standard error. So therefore, if you use the adjusted R square, it presents more error-free results for your model prediction. So adjusted version of R square accounts for the number of prediction in the model and should be close to the R square. And the higher value indicate better model fit, as I just mentioned. Then another important criteria for reflective structural model is called F square, because F square actually talks about the effect size of your independent variable on the dependent variable. So the F square mainly measure the effect size, as I mentioned to you, and you can understand, you can categorize your independent variables based on these three categories. One is called small effect, medium effect, and large effect. Indeed, our main focus on large effect, because then only we can say that, okay, our independent variables are really important to predict our dependent variable. So therefore, what is the guideline? Cohen in 1988 give it the guideline. If your F square is 0.02, you have a small effect size, probably very minimal effect size, whereas 0.15 considered as a medium effect size and 0.35 is a large effect size. If you ask me as a researcher, we should include only those variables that has large effect. That is our expectation, but in the real life, probably we will not have. And that's where our NCA, necessary conditioning analysis, play a very important role, which I will explain to you in the 14th of March. Then Q square, the predictive relevance, actually is measure the predictive power of the model using the Stone Genesis test. Actually, this talks about how effectively you predict this model. Because as I mentioned that we will be only focusing on exploratory research, so therefore we must predict the relevance of those variables. So if any value is less than zero in Q square, that means your model is not really predictable model, or it may not be valuable. It may not have insightful information given to the industry or whatever the purpose of doing the research. So that's why we must use the Q square to ensure that your model has some sort of predictive power. Then another two criteria which is very important for the reflective structural model is called standardized root mean square residual, which is SRMR. And it should, if it is less than 0.08, then it's called good fit. And if it is less than 0.10, it's called acceptable fit. And I have given this references. You can check also later. If you are because these are the articles mostly get an open access and you can download from Google Scholar. And last but not least, the criteria that will help you to predict your reflective model is called NFI. So NFI is mainly to compare the proposed model in a null model, okay? Because when you write usually a null hypothesis and also alternative hypothesis, so usually NFI talks about this null model, and it should be more than 0.90 for the good fit. So again, we have to remember all this threshold and we have to compare this value against our actual value. Once you confirm that your model is fit, then the next question is which variable is significant and to what extent it's significant, what direction that where significance is coming. So in order to give the conclusion about your hypothesis, these are the four important criteria that you should report to your thesis as well as in your paper. So first is called path coefficient, because path coefficient explains the strength and the direction of relationship between the constructs. Okay, so it actually depicts, it explains that to what extent or to what level, to what percentage your independent variable explains the dependent variable. And it should be close to plus minus 1, indicates a strong relationship. Close to 0 indicate a weak or no relationship. And then we will be focusing on t-value and p-value. Actually, t-value and p-value are definitely is a mirror view and go in a opposite direction, because when your p-value is less than 0.05, your t-value will automatically will be more than 1.96. This is a statistical. I'm sure that you have learned in your statistics class about the independent t-test. Okay, so in that t-test, you can find the t-value when we use the bootstrapping method. I will be showing you later that if your t-value is more than 1.96, see, automatically the p-value will be less than 0.05. And at a 95% confidence interval level, you can say that your variable, your independent variable, has significant effect on your dependent variable. So these are two values. You can report both, you can report even one. So not a big problem here, because they know that if your p-value is less than 0.05, your t-value will increase. That's normally it happens. Last but not least is your CI. CI is mainly talks about confidence interval, to what confidence interval that you give your conclusion about your hypothesis. So there are two different confidence interval usually accepted in the behavioral science. In sometimes in the pure scientific science, they can go up to 90% confidence interval. But in the behavioral science, especially when you deal with the primary research, you should not go below 95% confidence interval. That's why the 95% is a standard cutoff point for the CI. So these are the thresholds value, and definitely you have to remember all those things. Okay, before I go to the moderation and mediation, let's develop and see how we can draw the model. So today we will be using, one second. Hey, sorry. I hope that you get your data file.
Prof, can I ask one question?
Sure, absolutely.
Actually, if you allow me, thank you very much for your nice talking and very elaborate, clear explanation about the PLS. But I have some curiosity to know it as a learner. So
Yeah.
you are talking about here, your p-value is less than 0.05. Even SPSS also like that.
P-value or T-value, Prof?
P-value,
Yes.
probability value, you telling if less than 0.05, it is a good fit model. Even statistically, our SPSS also same thing. But SEM MOs, they're suggesting p-value should be more than 0.05. So
okay,
my
good question, Prof. First of all, that is you are talking about the AMOS and you are talking about measurement model. So, okay, because CB based, as I told you that I will not explain the CB based model today. CB use the covariance based structural equation modeling, whereas the PLS doesn't use the CB based. So definitely there is a huge difference on that. There is a fundamental difference. Theoretically, there is a fundamental difference is there.
It's okay.
Otherwise, it wouldn't have different. Yes, Prof.
Curiosity to know, if all the law is telling p-value should be 0.05 acceptable, is fine. But why Amos is talking opposite, and why after analyzing?
No, it is because of the fundamental reason of they use covariance based structural equation modeling. They are fundamentally, they focus on covariance, not the variance.
Is okay. That is also I understand. But my question is about 100 students when they analyzing, about 80% student, they are not getting p-value more than 0.05. That is the big problem.
No, again, Prof. Probably you see when a student doesn't get the desired value, definitely we cannot help anyway, because probably you have to focus on your data collection method. Because you see, when you deal with the primary research, the main problem is not recites only your questionnaire. Also focus on your sampling. Also focus on how dedicatedly your respondents give the answer. That's play a very important role. A very important role.
No,
You
no,
cannot
let's
just simply blame on one part that, okay, probably my questionnaire is not good. It's not like that. That's why each and every method in structural equation modeling has their own advantages and disadvantages. So if you apply the concept, if you apply any of that particular approach, make sure that you go through all those fundamental rules and regulation in order to get your desired level of value. Otherwise, you have to focus. I mean, you have to encounter this sort of problem.
no, no. Whereas you see the CFI, GFI, even RMMCA, all everything is model fit. But P value generally we are not getting. And after that, actually, my personal opinion, I already communicated with the statistician. Even I communicated with this T Ramaya. I communicated with this here at all. They also unable to give me the proper answer. That's why I'm asking. So why
Yeah,
not?
because it is not possible. It is not, because it is out of the control. It has its own algorithm. No one can actually ensure you that the p-value will be more than 0.05. That's why I'm saying, see, each software has their own algorithm, which is considered a statistical calculation. Like 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. We cannot make it 5. Now, why it cannot be make 5, we cannot give the answer of that. Because you see here, if your data is accurate, if you data collect, accurately, I'm sure that you will reach to your desired value. However, if it is not, then no one can actually give you the answer. No one. Why? It is just because of that is the reason. It is a formula. There is a formula. There is a formula. For example, like when the p-value is less than 0.05, the t-value will definitely be more than 1.96. Now, why it happens? Because of the
No.
formula.
Of course, it is the opposite direction is fine. But to me, actually, my experience, I'm telling, out of 100 people, 90 people is not getting p-values like that. But model is fit.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you, Prof. But actually, I don't think so that anyone can solve this issue. I mean, no one can give the answer for this particular question, that why I'm not getting the p-value. Because as a researcher, we cannot deal with the algorithm. That is the rule. So that is the formula. Recite the software.
Okay, thank you.
Recite the software. You're welcome, Prof. And thanks for asking this question. Okay, is there any other question before we start our smart PLS? If not, then we can proceed with working on our smart PLS, and I'm sure that you have received the data file. Can I get a little confirmation from my audience that you received the data file? At least show your thumbs up.
Yes, we get it.
Okay. So everyone, please open your. 1 second. I don't know why. Okay, good. Please open your smart PLS. Let me share my screen first. Where is my smart PLS? Okay. Okay, can you see my screen, my dear applicants?
Yes, Prof. It's basic.
Okay. If you can see your smart PLS, this is the what is called the window. At first, you will get it here. And I'm sure that most of you have experience, probably some of you may not. So when you get it, you can see on the top scales that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, these are the 5 approaches in the structural equation modeling that you can apply. However, probably you may raise this question that just now I talks about PLS-SEM, CB, what about GSCA, what about the process and regression? You see, these 3 are the method embedded in this tool. For example, when you apply necessary conditioning analysis, the PLS-SEM will not help you to do that. We must go to the regression model. Why? Because necessary conditioning analysis can only applicable when you measure the effect individually, not simultaneously. See, that is the primary difference between regression and structural equation modeling, that it can measure the effect of independent variable on the dependent variable simultaneously at a time. Whereas the regression is not able to do that. Why? Again, see, this is the formula. This is the formula. So the formula, this is the limitation of that regression, that it cannot consider all the variable at one picture and then give the result for their effect. Therefore, the advancement comes in this regression, which is considered this structural equation modeling. So in this structural equation modeling, again, basically there are 2 types. One is PLS-SEM and CB-SEM. So just now, the question that raised by one of our participants, Prof. Hasanullah, thanks for asking that question, Prof. Why in the CB-SEM we cannot get the p-value? Again, I answer, definitely no one can give this answer because it has its own formula. And we cannot manipulate the formula. We cannot, interfere the formula here because they have their algorithm. Now, why we cannot get it? There's only option that we have to look at our data. So our both session, we will not touch any of these things, any of this CB-SEM. We will be only focusing on this PLS-SEM and regression. So today we will be deal with the data file that I have shared with you. So once you get this window, your first thing, you have to click new project. Can you see my screen, the new project? Okay. Why it happens? Why my SmartPLS doesn't work? 1 second, give me. My bad. I hope you can see me, see my screen. Okay, click the new project. And in the new project, here, first you give the name of the project. It is totally depend on you, whatever the name you want to give. Probably I will give the name called customer loyalty because in our data, there is a variable customer satisfaction, customer loyalty, and there is independent variable. I will explain a little bit later when I will brief you about our data those time. So you must write customer loyalty, and again, it is not that you have to write customer loyalty, purely your choice. Purely your choice. So you can write customer loyalty and then click create. I try my best to go slowly so that you can easily absorb the process and you will be with me. So when you create that project, you can find there are 2 link has created in the left side of your screen. One is called imported data file. One is create model. So before you create the model, it is very important for you to import the data file first. We must import our data. So click import data file. So when you click your import data file, please select this data file from wherever you save this file. So I save it in the training folder. That's why it appears. You save this file wherever, please find and select this data. Please let me know if you are still can follow me, because I want everyone should practice with me so that it will be very helpful for you. You
Yes,
can
proceed.
use your thumb. Okay, give me some feedback that okay we are completing, so it will be easier for me. So once you identify your data, you just double click on the data. Can you see my screen now called CSV file? All this file is visible for you, CL1, CL2, CL3, CL4, CL5.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, and then click import. See, one of the main benefit of the SmartPLS that once you import the data, immediately they will give you a total brief about this data, including the sample size, which is in the left side, an indicator, how many indicators are there, is there any missing value? Oh my God. I think my SmartPLS is playing with me anyway. Let me share again. Sorry. It is because we may not use the original version, so frequently I have to face this problem. Anyway, not a problem here. Okay. Hope you can see my screen now. So if you look at here, that it immediately gives you the information about how many indicators you have in this data set. What is your total sample number, which is 249, and indicator there are 37. Besides that, it also gives you the glimpse of your normality, by giving you the skewness value. Skewness and kurtosis, even you can find it here, the mean, median, all the descriptive information that you need everything is here. Okay, for your information, this study or this data set, it doesn't use 5-point Likert scale. That is the reason why you can find the scale max is 5. Sorry, 7. Because we use the 7-point Likert scale. And for your information, the here ETL in recently published paper and mentioned that we should increase our Likert scale, because slowly the 5-point Likert scale become no more valid in the primary research. So this is the main reason why we should use the 7-point Likert scale. Okay, so that's why you can find the scale max is 7 here. Okay, once you get all this data, you can just go back and create model. Now you can create model. So you can just click on create model. So when you click the create model, you can find there is a model type. One dialog box will appear in front of you, and it will say which model type that you use. So click in that arrow button and click to the PLS-SEM. PLS-SEM, because we will be using only the PLS-SEM, not other things. And what will be your model name? You can give your own model name. For example, Arun model example. Or you can create even customer loyalty. You can create any name that you prefer. You can create over there. So and click save. Okay, so once you click the save, it will give you another whiteboard kind of interface. While in the left side, you can find all your items, all your indicators, and in the right side, it will help you to draw the model. I hope everyone reach up to this point.
Oh, we did not receive. Left side did not get all these variable.
Left side, you cannot get this variable.
Yes.
You follow each and every steps, Prof.
Hopefully, I already, okay, I go back. I created model. Okay. Then I go to there, but it is not too many record, professional license record. My software might be problem.
Yeah. Same thing is happening with my software as well. Repeatedly kick me out from using that. But anyway, luckily
Maybe
it saves all the things.
maybe my
It's
software
okay.
not giving more than 100 respondents. That's why.
Oh,
Yeah.
probably, yeah, that could be one of the reason.
Yeah,
Okay, so
doctor,
if
I
you
have
don't,
also issue.
Another
Yes,
reason
sir.
may
yes.
be the Likert scale 5 point or 7 point. That may be the reason.
No. 5.7 point Likert scale shouldn't be a problem for this creating a model. If you use the student version, the sample size is the issue.
So should I
The
delete
Likert scale is not the issue here.
sample size? I can delete.
Sample size, because this data file contains 249 samples.
Okay, I can be deleted to 149 or 50.
Yes, probably you can use that and try. Okay. But for me, my problem is this software kick me out all the time. Anyway, so we'll be dealing with that later, not today. Okay, so if you look at, if you reach to this level, I hope most of us reach and let Prof to delete the data samples, and then hopefully he can join with us soon. If you look at here in the left side, the CL represents customer loyalty. CS represents customer satisfaction. PQ represents product quality. This is just for our training purpose. Don't worry about anything that why these variables are there. And we're not explaining any theoretical or conceptual model here. I just want to show you how to develop the model and test in the SmartPLS. So just consider the variable here. So PQ actually represents your product quality. SMP actually talks about social media presence.
Excuse me.
SCP is considered as another variable, and CI is another
Excuse
variable,
me.
and PP is another variable. So here, if you look at, there are
Prof,
one dependent variable, which is customer loyalty, one mediating variable, which is customer satisfaction, and there are several independent variables.
Prof,
So,
I think one of the participants have a question.
sure.
Yes,
What is the
Prof,
question?
are you recording the session because we can practice next time?
Yes, the session is recorded and it will be uploaded soon to our YouTube channel. So you can access the whole video from there.
Okay, carry on. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's draw the model first. Let's draw the model. So first we select all the indicators of each latent variable. Okay, so now I first want to develop the loyalty. So we will be using CL1, CL2, CL3, CL4, CL5. So it means there are 5 indicators of customer loyalty. So how do you select? Actually, there are 2 ways you can select. If you use the keyboard, press the control and use your cursor, click second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. In other way, you can press the sheet, keep pressing the sheet and arrow button. Sorry, I think control, no. I think that is the only one way you can actually select, press the, oh my. One second, because my SmartPLS is giving me a huge problem. But luckily that it saves. Then probably in the next session, we can solve this issue. Okay, so here, what will happen? You just click the control and select all the items belongs to that particular variable. Once you select, drag and drop to this whiteboard here. Okay, and you can see once you drag and drop here, there will be a text box appear in front of you by giving a CL. Yeah, they by default, they give the name. You can also, customize your name. You can write either, you can keep either CL or you can write customer loyalty. Once you finish writing, once you give the name, nothing but you see the instruction also been given here, press enter key to proceed. So that means once you finalize the name, just press enter and you can see here that your variable is ready, the latent variable. Okay. I'm sorry for this real hiccup, but I hope that it will save all the time. So let's start from the beginning then. I hope, and I'm extremely sorry for this hiccup. So click the import data file here in the left side. Then I keep my data in the folder that I will be going training. Okay, so here our data set name is book 1 CSV. Okay, you may ask why CSV. Actually, now in the SmartPLS 4, you can use any of the form, but CSV would be the best because most of the primary researcher now use the Google form. So when you download the Google form, you can export the data in the CSV file. So just double click and the same data will appear in front of you that I have explained. After that, you click import. And when you click import, again, the same things will be showing indicator 37 and sample 249. So let's build up our model. So in order to create the model, you have to click on this create model here in the left side, which is appear under the folder that you set a new project. So click this create model. So here the model type will be PLS-SEM. As I mentioned, that we will be using the PLS-SEM for this session, not the CV-SEM. And the model name you can give, as I told you, any name you like. But here I will be using customer loyalty. And then click save. So once you click save, it will take you to this interface where you can see in the left side, you can find all your items, and right side in this white box, it will allow you to draw your model. So I just repeat again that these all of the items like CL, CS is a different variable. Gradually, I will be explaining what does it mean by this variable and the nature of this variable. So CL here is considered as customer loyalty. So in the customer loyalty, it has 5 indicators. Okay, now you may ask, why 5 indicators? Why not 4? It is again because of the questionnaire that I used. So when you use your questionnaire, you may have 5 items, you may have 3 items, you may have even 10 items. But for this data set, we have 5 items to measure the customer loyalty. So how to select all the items? Press the control, keep pressing the control and select your required items. So as I mentioned, there are 5 items or indicators belongs to this customer loyalty. So you select all, drag and drop at the right end of your white box. And once you drop, automatically you can see that there will be a text box where they will ask you to customize the name of this variable. So you can continue with the CL, or you can change the name customer loyalty for your easy to understand customer loyalty. And once you give the name, what is the next step given by here? Press enter key to proceed. So you can just press enter and your variable will appear in front of you. So if you observe here, you can find all the direction of this arrow is outward of the construct. And that's why it is called reflective model. If it is a formative model, then definitely the arrow should go inward this latent variable. Okay, so and the requirement for testing that model will be also different. So today we are not going about all this. We will all use a reflective model. As a result, all the arrow will go outward of the latent variable. So similarly, we will also do the same thing for other variable. So here in this data set, we have CS. If you look at in the left side, there is a CS1 up to CS5. So what does it mean by this CS? Customer satisfaction. Because theoretically, customer satisfaction is the prerequisite for the customer loyalty, according to the theory. So we are not arguing here that there could be other variables that is different. Probably that would be a different context, but For this data, our model, customer satisfaction is only the mediating variable for this particular research. So you can click CS1, similarly press Control and then select all the items belongs to customer satisfaction. So there are 5 items which actually represent in 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So select all these items, construct, drag and drop besides the customer loyalty here. Similar things, you can keep the CS or you can also customize the name given by customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction. So once you finalize the name, press enter. Press enter. Okay. So in order to design it or make it very lucrative, allurative, so you can just design a little bit drag and drop. However, if you want to put all this construct on the top, what do you need to do? Take your cursor on the latent variable, click the right button of your mouse, and you can find these are the directions here. On top, left, below, and the right. So according to your choice, for example, you want to put it on the top just for this designing purpose again. It's not mandatory to do that. But if you really want to make it like very lucrative or very neat and clean, then probably you can click on here. So it will be easy because you see, these are the construct which may not require when you apply your structural equation modeling picture. Okay, so you can put it on top, or as I told you, depending on your nature, if you want to keep below, you can click here. There is another arrow button you can see here. It will automatically come down depending on you. You can take this one below, or if you want to take on top, is just press on the latent variable and drag and keep it wherever you want. Okay. So let's keep it here and I put all the construct on top. I hope everyone can follow here up to here.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, great. So next is our independent variable. So in the independent variable, our first variable is product quality. So under the product quality, there are 4 constructs, which is PQ1 up to PQ4. We have to select all these items to create that first independent variable. So again, keep pressing the control, click on PQ1, PQ2, PQ3, PQ4, and then drag and drop here. So again, you can keep the same name, or you can create product quality and press enter. So your first independent variable has been created here. Similarly, we have to do the second independent variable, which is SMP1, SMP2, SMP3, SMP4, SMP5. Now, SMP actually stands for social media presence. Social media presence. Again, it is not important for us to know because this is my model. You may have a different variable in your research. So please drag and drop here, and you can write social media, PRESENC, social media presence, and press enter. So, sorry. You can drag and drop. Oh my God. You can drag and drop according to your desired level of charges. Okay, so you can put it nearby, wherever you actually want, you can do it. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So now go for the third independent variable, which is called SCP. Okay. This one is, I think, consumer preference. SCP. So under the SCP, there is 4 items. So you can select 1, 2, 3, 4. All these 4 items you select, and then you can drag and drop wherever you want. So here we just say consumer preference, and press enter. So this has already been developed here. This is the third variable. And again, instead of wherever you want this item to be shown, in the left, you can click in the left. If you want to put it in the bottom, also you can click in the bottom. So there is no problem on that. Okay. So you can design as per your choices. You can take it here to make it more neat and clean. This is purely depending on you, how you have to design. Okay, then our fourth one is called CI, customer interaction. CI represents customer interaction. So you can select this, and under the customer interaction, there are 5 items. So you can again press Control, keep pressing C1, the control, and then select CI1, CI2, CI3, CI4, and CI5. Drag and drop here. And you can write here customer interaction. Customer interaction, and press enter. So they will create another variable related to customer interaction. Then the last variable is called PP. Okay, PP. Here is a product price. PP is called product price. And this product price, there are 3 items that belongs to this product price. So we select all these 3 and drag and drop in the whiteboard. So click PP. Again, keep pressing Control, select the second one, select the third one, and then you can just put it here. And PP is nothing but product price. Okay, so in this model, what you can see, there are 5 independent variables, 1 mediating variable, and 1 independent variable. So if anyone asks, does this model appropriate to conduct the SEM? You can say definitely it is appropriate. Why? It is because there is a complicated relationships exist in this model. So how do you define the complicated relationship? It is because of mediating variable. It is because of the mediating variable. So this is a complication, Satya. Okay, we have to measure direct and indirect effect, which I will be explaining you later. I hope that everyone dropped to here. Let me know. Dear participants, do you able to draw this model?
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Excellent. So if you look here, see all this one, if you just take your cursor, go on this Latin variable, immediately there's a problem. So what is the problem here? That you never define the relationship. You never connect to each other. So that's why we have to click the button called connect. On the top ribbon, you can find the what is called the sign called connect. That's why until you connect, you see every variable will show problem. Wherever you go, it shows problem because you never connect to each other. So our next job, once you already define all the variables, our next target is to connect it. So click the connect. And when you click the connect, you see it activate. Now you have to define the relationship. So we know the product quality affect. Why it is happening now? Okay. So here we can find Why this software is playing with me today, my bad. Okay, let's connect here, right? I'm extremely sorry why this button is not coming. Does it happen to you also?
Prof, I think you can go back and come in again.
Now, if I go back, then the entire model will, I have to draw again.
UTS, yeah. Can you, yeah.
Oh, yeah, now, okay. Good. So once you click connect, then you can actually connect all these relationship. Then second, see, you have to take the arrow, and this arrow will present what relationship do you have here. So all these independent variable must go to this mediating variable. See, once you create the connection, the color of this unobserved variable or latent variable has changed to blue color. However, if you see this one, not yet changed because you haven't shown any connection. So you have to also connect from here to here. Okay. Can you see this? I hope everyone can connect.
Dear respondents, are you able to connect it?
Yes, go, because I need to go back to 30.
Okay. So I hope that everyone able to connect to all those variables. So it is clear that there is a 5 independent variable and which connected to the mediating variable and lead to this dependent variable. So once you establish this connection, our next is to calculate it. But again, let me share with you a little bit theoretical part. Once again, what is my, okay, good. See, at the first step, what I mentioned to you, that we have to prepare or we have to measure our measurement model. Then only we will go for a structural model. So once you create this model, first thing is we have to measure our measurement model. And in the measurement model, what actually we have to decide, one is our internal consistency reliability, convergent validity, and discriminant validity. So here, this part will be very, very helpful for you. See, all these indicators that you have to remember in order to give the conclusion that statistically your measurement model is fit and proceed for the structural model. So how to get all this information, which is considered as outer loading, composite reliability, average variance extracted, Fornell-Likert criterion, HTM, and VIM. So at first we have to look into all this part.
Prof, sorry to interrupt, but we do have some questions on the chat box.
Sure.
The first one is from Tahani Tahamid. How to delete a connection?
How to delete the connection? Okay, good. Let me show you. Okay, ma'am, if you really want to delete your connection, so many things are here. Okay, so first you click the select. And then you select which relation you want to delete. And then you click the delete button. I repeat again, first you click the select. You see, at first it was connected. You have to click the select button here on top, select, and then which one you want to delete. Make sure that you select that and click the delete button. I hope my illustration helped to you. Any other questions?
Yes, Prof. There is another question. If any relationship with direct relations IV with DV?
Okay, for this, no need, because we will be evaluating when you apply the bootstrapping. Automatically, it will give all the direct and indirect and total effect. So not to worry about that. You don't have to connect anything with independent and dependent if you have a mediator. Not to worry about that. That's why we will be using different calculation. In that calculation, it will represent, it will show us the direct, indirect, and total effect. So the direct effect means product quality to the customer loyalty, product quality to the customer satisfaction. So both result, both direct effect will be shown by this calculation. It's by default, it will come. Not to worry about that. I hope my explanation is justify your question.
Dear respondents, if you have any questions, please do write it on the chat box.
Okay, thank you. So as I told you, at first we need all those criteria for the measurement model. So how to do that? You have to click calculate. You have to click calculate. And when you click the calculate, you can find the PLS-SEM algorithm. PLS-SEM algorithm. Basically, we need to use this both, but bootstrapping for the structural evaluation of the structural model, but for the measurement model, you can use the PLS-SEM algorithm, because PLS-SEM algorithm may not give you the direct and indirect effect with the p-value. So that is the reason why we need bootstrapping. So I will come to the bootstrapping later. So first we have to measure our measurement model. So please click this PLS-SEM algorithm. Once you click this PLS-SEM algorithm, see the type of the results that we are focusing, it should be standardized, not unstandardized. Why? Because the standardized value will be error-free. Standard error-free. That's why we use standardized types of result. We don't want unstandardized. Then we must use this path analysis. Why do you need a path analysis? Because just now you asked this question that do I need to create the path between independent and the dependent? So we are measuring this path analysis. That's why you have to click the path analysis and then click start calculation. Once the both you click on path and standardized, then please click the start calculation. So once you give this start, once you click the start calculation, you see, it will it will take you to the report. It will take you to the report window where you will be able to see all the loading factors on the diagram. However, you can have your own table. That is the main benefit of using this software. Why? Because you see here, you can export in Excel. If you just click in the Excel, it will give you the full information of your all those analysis in the Excel file, where you can easily navigate and they create your table for you. They create a table for you. So it will be easier for you to just copy that table and paste it on your thesis or the paper, that wherever you want. Wherever you want. I hope everyone able to reach to this level. Yes or no?
Dear respondents, have you completed till now?
Yes, completed.
Okay, because I don't want that later suddenly you say, can you go back and do it again, because it will consume the time. So please let me know immediately that if you reach to this level, it will be very, very helpful for us. Okay, good. So now, what is the first thing that we have to measure? Probably the first thing first, what we want to measure is our loading, outer loading. So one is called outer loading. You see here on the left side, you can easily find the outer loading. So if you click here, as I mentioned to you, in previous session, little bit earlier, that there is a 3 types of coloring that they provide. One is called green color. So if everything is green to you, it means you are lucky. I could say you are lucky that you satisfied the threshold point. The threshold point. You see, each and every, when you click the outer loading, it shows that all these 5 indicators, their value is more than 0.702. That's why you see all are green color. So it confirmed you that all this construct has a higher loading on this latent variable. All this latent variable. Okay. See, even you can copy to the Excel or Word if you want. You just click. But if you want the full report, you can just export by using this Excel. You just click the Excel and export it, and you can set the file. However, at the same time, also you can look at from here. So all these values, if you observe, all these values are above 0.702. Now the question is, why is this 0.702? Because I already showed you, if you can observe here in our file, see the ideal, they say it should be more than 0.708. Sorry, not 702, 708 is ideal. So our all the values, the outer level, all the values are definitely higher than that. So we can statistically, we can conclude that all these constructs are adequate to use this model or to predict our latent variable. You can easily give a conclusion based on that data. And definitely you have to add this table on your thesis or on your paper. Let's move on to the next criteria, which is our, we consider that CR value. Okay. So when you talk about the CR value, where actually we need to click? See here in the quality criteria. Under the quality criteria, you can find construct reliability and validity. Construct reliability and the validity. So if you click here, what are the information you will be able to, get it from here? You can get it all the Cronbank alpha. You can get it the AVE as well. Once again, once you see this green color in every value, you should feel good that, okay, great. All my values are passed here. All my values are passed. So this is one of the big advantages using SmartPLS, that immediately they will give you the impression that, yeah, you are in the right track, and most of the all the data are fit for next stage of analysis. So what is our cutoff point here in the Cronbank alpha? Our cutoff point was 0.70. So by observing all the values here for all the variables, it is clear that the Cronbank alpha value is more than 0.70. That's why we can conclude it. And then we can go for composite reliability as well. There is a composite reliability. Okay, so in all composite reliability, if you observe, you can also find that it is more than 0.70. Last but not least, when you talk about AVE, average variance extracted, also you can see it is more than 0.5. More than 0.5, because definitely it may raise inside your mind that why it is green. It is because of the threshold given by those references. It's not that by default your SmartPLS mislead you. It's not like that. They also follow those criteria to give you this green color signal. Any questions so far? Okay, I assume that everyone reached up to this level. Okay.
Yes, Prof.
Again, you can actually copy. Yeah.
Yes, if the value comes below the threshold, how we can increase that?
Sorry, sir, I can get you. Come again.
If the outer loading value comes
Hmm.
below 702, how we can
Okay.
increase that?
Again, it's a good question, but as an ethical researcher, uh, I can give you only one option: is please recollect your data. Okay, or you try to find out is there any outlier or not. But always remember, when you focus on the eliminating the outlier, definitely it is very important things that you have to eliminate the outlier, but even it directly affect your sample size. Okay, so you have to be very careful that to how many outlier that you should delete or how should you eliminate, because you cannot compromise sometimes with your sample size if your sample size is very less. It's a great concern here. It's a great concern. And again, nowadays most of the Q1 journal, they focus on two different types of manipulation of the data. One is data fabrication and also data manipulation. So please, there is a system that we can easily catch whether your data is fabricated data or you manipulate the data. There is also statistics on that. So please bear in your mind that don't try to simply fabricate the data or manipulate the data unless you are very expert in statistics. Though I shouldn't tell this, but these are the two main concerns in primary research: data fabrication and data manipulation. So try not to do that. In order to improve your Cronbank alpha, the first thing first, you have to look at your outlier and try, because the PLS normality is not a problem. But if you have an outlier or if your VIF is very high, then definitely it will be very difficult for you to achieve this level. So yeah, sampling plays a very important role. Data collection method also play a very important role. And the last but not least, the dedication of your respondents. Because some respondents just close the eyes and put 555, 444. So it may create this sort of problem here. Okay, so as an ethical researcher, we should not allow any data fabrication or any data manipulation. This is not really acceptable. And especially if you really publish the paper in good journal, they have the system to catch all these things. That's why nowadays, all the Q1 journal, they ask your data. That you have to approve that if they need your data, you must give them the data. I hope my answer is clear to you.
Yes, it is very clear. Thank you.
You're welcome. So this is the things. Okay, what is our next criteria? Again, you can refer to my slides. That's why it will be very easy for you. Always you can refer to the slides. See, we already know the SEER, we already know the AVE. So our next thing is measuring our convergent value, discriminant value. So discriminant validity can be measured using this Fornell-Laker criterion or heterotrait and monotrait ratio. So both we will be measuring here. And again, please remember this. Usually people use the HTMT because we are using the formative model, reflective model. So in the reflective model, HTMT is more than enough to justify your discriminant validity. So again, in a HTMT, if you see the green color, you should be very happy. So let's see what happens to our data here. Everything is available in your left side window in your SmartPLS. You don't have to be worried about it. Then what is my HTMT? What is my Fornell-Laker? So you just need to click discriminant validity. Can you see here in the left side? In the left side, below the construct reliability and validity, there is a discriminant validity. So if you click the discriminant validity, as I told you, everything is available. All the three. See, cross-loading is there, Fornell-Laker criterion is there, HTMT is also there. HTMT is also there. Now the question is, which one we should use? For your thesis, if anyone is writing a thesis, I should suggest you that you must use all three. But if you write a paper, even for the Q1 in a very, very high prestigious journal, HTMT is more than enough for you. It's more than enough for you. Always remember. And if you observe that, you can find here all the values are green color. Why all these values are green color in HTMT? It is because all the values are below 0.8. Usually the cutoff point is 0.9. It should be less than 0.9. But in a standard, in a primary research, we follow 0.8. So if you observe here, all the values, regardless, all those values are less than 0.8. So as a result, you can say statistically, this model is valid in a discriminant way. In other words, all the variables are different. Actually, discriminant validity talks about what? Discriminant validity talks about to what extent the one variable is distinct from other variable. So that is discriminant validity. Discriminant validity. See, discriminant, first you have to understand the concept of the discriminant validity. For example, like you purchase two fruits. One is mango and one is orange. How can you differentiate this thing? Probably you can differentiate based on the taste. One is sweet and orange probably is sour. See, discriminant. Can you, create the distinction between these variables identically or not? That is called discriminant validity, which is very important because in your study, if you select any variable which resemble same, for example, you talks about honeydew and watermelon, assume, just assumption. Honeydew and watermelon is more or less same nature. More or less same nature. More or less has the same. Or probably you can talk about strawberry and blueberry. See, it belongs to the berry category. So in your model, if you have those sort of variable that has closely interrelated, or you may not have identical differences between those variables, then that model will not be accepted in the high quality journal. That's why we have to ensure that there is a discriminant validity. So discriminant validity mainly discuss shows that yes, in all these variable, there is identical differences. They are not closely related to each other. I hope it is clear to everyone what is discriminant validity.
Yes, clear.
Thank you. So once you confirm your discriminant validity, even if you look at here, the Fernald Lecker, the Fernald Lecker, as I told you, there is no cutoff point. Even I never mentioned the cutoff point in our on our slides. You can find it is because this is very much subjectively you can explain. That's why most of the time we use HTMT. We use the HTMT. Okay. So the last but not least, which is very important, you can find here the last criteria for measuring your measurement model is nothing but VIF. The VIF, which is multi-collinearity analysis. So multi-collinearity analysis, actually, there are two types. One is within the variable and one is within the construct. Within the construct. So for the formative model, you should use the inner one. Whereas the reflective model, you should use the outer one. The outer one. Okay. So there is some argumentative manner that many of the researchers say this is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong, whatever it is. But usually the VI for the outer, when you measure the measurement model, you should use this multicollinearity for the outer part. So let's see how we can explain. And again, please don't forget these thresholds. Our threshold should be ideally, the best one is less than 3.3. Ideally. But again, I told you in the primary research, what happens sometimes you cannot reach to this 3.3. If you reach, best. If you cannot, you can also, follow the rule of 5. That my VIF is less than 5. It is also been suggested by the HERETL in 2019. So not to worry that if you suddenly find out that any VIF value is more than 4.2. So does it mean that I really need to recollect the data? No, you can justify with these range with each range. But yes, the ideal one is 3.3. If you find out any value, VIF value is more than 3.3, you can justify by saying that, okay, these terms I cannot eliminate because I adopt or I adapt from the prior studies, and they mentioned that this is one of the important constructs. So this is the reason why I include in my question here. So as a researcher, you must know how to justify your action there. But if anything is more than 5, you have to relook your question here. Okay, is there any question there? For paper purpose, which discriminant validity should be used? As I told you, ma'am, your HTMT is more than HTMT. I will show you one of the paper probably. In fact, I shared my own paper in plus one. You can find there, they ask for HTMT. So HTMT is more than enough. But for the thesis, you should include all the 3, including the cross-loading also. Because sometimes cross-loading, from the cross-loading, you can find out that is there any item loaded similarly in other variables. But you can find in my data, definitely not. Otherwise, my HTMT wouldn't be that accurate there. Okay, so let's find out the VIF value. So in the VIF value, again, it's very simple. See, congruity statistics in the VIF, they clearly mention here. You just click here. As I just now I mentioned to you, see, outer model, inner model list. Why? It is because of the CV-SEM and PLS-SEM. So in the PLS-SEM, you can actually come for outer model. So our main focus in outer model. You see, one of the important thing here, some of the values in my data, which is 3.093, and they are not green color. At the same time, they are not red color. That's why I say the SmartPLS has 3 different colors. That means when it is black color, it shows it is tolerable. It is tolerable. You can tolerate up to this level. So no need to take some action on that. However, you have to justify in your thesis or in the paper. Then what could be the reason for this item, this particular item, the result goes a little bit above than your threshold. Because frankly speaking, SmartPLS, their threshold is not 3.3. Their threshold is 3. That's why anything, you see, even 3.093, just 0.093, it doesn't achieve the green color. However, it is not a red color also. As I told you, because it is tolerable. The range between 5 to 3.3. So that is the range. That's why it is black color. It is here, I could say, your concern should be there, that how you can justify this point. Except that 3 items, customer loyalty, first construct, product price, first construct and second construct. Except these 3 items, see, all the items are in green color. So you can easily justify that all the items doesn't have any identical multicongruity problem here. Now, if you say, what does it mean by the inner matrix? Inner means between the variables. So if you click here, see, this is called inner matrix. Inner means the customer preference with customer satisfaction. You see, it's resemble almost 1.76. You see, they show between the 2 different variables, not the construct here. So when you are using formative model, in that scenario, you have to use this inner congruity. But when you use the reflective one, definitely we should use the outer one. But again, if you think that probably your supervisor or probably your reviewer may ask you to show the inner model even for the formative model, so you just click here and you will be able to get the information about that. So everything is given here. Not to worry about that. Okay, so inner VIF actually talks about among the variables, not the construct. Whereas the outer model that talks about the construct, each construct. So that is the main difference between the inner model and outer model. Any question? Okay, I assume not. So by observing all these criteria, we can confidently say that yes, my measurement model is valid and help us to proceed for the next test, which is called testing structural model. Testing structural model. As I mentioned, even in our what is called slides, you can find here. Let me share with you the slides. See here in this picture, just now what we complete? We complete this assessment of measurement model. And we pass in each and every items. Each and every items we pass. So once you pass in each and every item, your next step is to go to assessment of structural model. Structural model. See, when we go for the assessment of a structural model, first thing is collinearity assessment. Actually, this collinearity assessment is talks about inner model, not the outer VIF. It's the inner VIF. Inner VIF. But again, sometimes your reviewer may ask about that. Sometimes your reviewer may keep silent about it. Because once they identify that there is no outer models are having a good result, usually your inner model may not have. But sometimes it may ask you. That's why the first thing is collinearity assessment. Collinearity assessment in the assessment of a structural model. Okay. Our next thing is coefficient of R square. Okay. In our assessing the structural model. So why we can get this R square value? So let's go back to our SmartPLS, and now we focus on the in the left side quality criteria. So remember, quality criteria, I mentioned there are two things are very important. One is called R square, one is called F square. So F square actually represents the effect, how strong effect it has. And R square actually talks about how much it has explained your dependent variable or independent variable on that particular context. So if you click R square here, one interesting thing you can find, customer loyalty. You see the customer loyalty, it has all this independent variable explained very low. Why? It is 0.282. It is 0.282. Okay, one thing you can observe, see all the R square value is comparatively higher than your R square adjusted value. Why? Because I already mentioned the R square value doesn't exclude the error terms, whereas the R square adjusted value actually exclude the error terms from here. That is the main difference. That's why always remember your R square value should be higher than your adjusted R square. So you can represent both. However, the most appropriate one is called adjusted R square. See, if you look at all this independent variable has 66% variance on the customer satisfaction, which is a good. Why it is good? Because our target should be 0.50. If you can recall from our slides that I have shown in the slides, that at least our target should be 0.50. Now, you may ask the question, why not customer loyalty? Because in your hypothesis, we consider or we never propose any direct relation between the independent variable and the customer loyalty. So we no need to ensure that all this independent variable has a greater effect on the customer loyalty. Instead, we should be happy that at least all this independent variable greatly affect your mediating variable. Greatly affect the mediating variable here. So as long as your mediating variable explained more than 50%, you can say, yes, the model R square is fate. R square is fate. I hope my explanation is clear to everyone. So if any question, please, you can raise your hand and ask the question. Don't get confused on anything, okay? Once you confirm that your R square satisfied all the values, then go for F square. Click the F square. And you can find here, there is only one value. It's very interesting. You can find here. See the relationship between customer satisfaction and customer loyalty. See 0.393, the F square. Any participants, can you predict why it is green color, why all other things are not green color? In fact, one variable has a red color. Anyone should try?
Excuse me.
Okay, why this see, look at here, there are three colors you can find. First of all, what F square means, or what F square explained to us.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, you showed the R square, but they're not mentioning any color here. Mentioning on the black color. Is it any indication?
Oh, no.
On the
R square will not give any color there because there is no threshold for the R square. Okay, because R square help us to understand to what extent your variable explain the other variable. So there is no threshold for the R square. Now, if R square is 0.150, so you can say that all this variable explain only 15% of your dependent variable. So that is your explanation. Now, in some scenario, even that 0.15% also can be accepted as long as your path analysis show that all the variables are significant. So R square will not give you any specific color on that because there is no threshold. But from the literature review, we find out our expectation should be at least 0.50 in order to confirm that it has, or you select the right set of variable that predict all the relationship or significantly predict the dependent variable. So that's why there is no color there. Okay. Do I clarify your doubt?
Yes, thank you. Proceed on. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So now if you look at the F square, actually F square is also very important, very, very important for you to predict, especially when we will learn about the necessary conditioning analysis. This F square will play a very important role. You can compare and contrast that how does this structural equation modeling is differ from the necessary conditioning analysis, which is very interesting to comprehend, very interesting to comprehend. Anyway, let's go back to what actually F square discuss about. F square actually talks about how much effect of customer satisfaction has on customer loyalty. Now, from this table, what is very clear here that none of the independent variable has a greater effect on the dependent variable. See, none of the independent variable significantly affect the customer loyalty. Whereas the customer satisfaction has a greater effect on customer loyalty. A very, very high effect on the customer loyalty. So how can you comprehend from here? Like, for example, the product quality may not directly affect your loyalty, may not have any significant effect on the loyalty. Instead, it must go through the satisfaction. So this is called one indication that probably there is a significant mediating relationship. From this table, you can easily find out that probably, you see, look at here, the customer satisfaction has a high relationship on the customer loyalty. It has high effect. Whereas none of the independent variable has any effect on the customer loyalty. Customer loyalty, not even zero. And if you look at all the independent variable has a small effect on the customer satisfaction except the product quality. Because the product quality is more than 0.15, which is moderate effect on there, and rest of the three has small effect, whereas product price doesn't have any effect at all. Now, definitely, this is an arguable thing. You may ask, why said the product price, or why product price is not really important for the customer satisfaction? That is different thing. We can discuss differently. But what F square explained to us, I just comprehend with you. So once you ensure this quality, our next thing is to find out our path analysis now. Path analysis, where we will be identifying which one is affecting what and to what level. Any question up to here? Any question?
Prof, I think we can proceed because as you know, for Zoom, we have only 3 hours.
Okay,
So we can proceed to the SM, then we can have the question answer.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in order to get it your significant value, what you need to do, you just go back, and again, before you proceed, you can just click the Excel, and you see when you click the Excel, you can easily download the entire report here, and click just export and save it. Save it to your desired folder so that later you can actually use it. So if you click the edit button, it will take you to here. And in order to know the relationship, whether it is significant or not, you have to click calculate and click bootstrapping. So when you click the bootstrapping, usually they give 5,000 samples. It is enough for you to use the 5,000, but some researchers say when we're using the behavioral primary data, try to use 10,000. It would be the best thing. Anyway, you can use 5,000. For now, we will be using 5,000. And again, test type is two-tail. Okay, why it is two-tail? Because probably in your hypothesis, you never mention any specific direction, whether it is positively affect or negatively affect. So if you just say there is a significant relationship between X and Y, so it means you accept any form of relationship. It can be negative relationship, it can be positive relationship. That's why it is two-tailed. However, in your research, if you mention that there is a positive relationship of X on Y, then you should use a one tail. So please make sure that you set up properly here. Okay, and significance level, whether 95%, which is CI, confidence interval, or if it is 95%, then it should be 0.05. If you want to measure based on 99%, then it should be 0.01. Okay, so usually standard is 0.05. Once you have set all these things properly, click start calculation. It will take a little time because there is a simulation of your data and you put it 5,000. If you add 10,000, it will take more time to do it. You see, when you automatically do the bootstrapping, when you conduct the bootstrapping, they give you the p-value here. All the p-value will appear here. All the p-value. So if you want to present here p-value with the standardized coefficient, what you can say, you just click here and see path coefficient and p-value. You can decide, you can customize. So you can have path coefficient and p-value. So choice is yours, that which value you want to present on your diagram. So if you say, okay, I want to just keep p-value, they will show only p-value. If you want to say, no, I want p-value with coefficient path, you will show here as well. Okay, so from here it can, those people who are very expert in statistics or no need to be expert in statistics. If you have experience of working with some kind of project, you know that as long as the p-value is less than 0.05, it means that variable has identical effect on particularly that variable. In fact, another I could say a feature of the SmartPLS is that you can highlight the path. On the left side, you can find the highlight the path. If you click here, use the relative value or absolute value, you can use it. So you can just click the relative value. You see, they show here which path is most important, which path is least important. And they highlight that path. You can also use it for your conclusion. You see, here the satisfaction has very big path. Why? Because it has a significantly affect your loyalty. So this is just a graphical representation. If you want to get the table, what you need to do? You have to click the path coefficient. So when you click this path coefficient, it will give you all the p-values and t-statistics values. So what is the most important thing here? the p-values. By looking at your p-values, you see there is only one is red color. Why? Because according to our threshold, that if your p-value is more than 0.05, is more than 0.05, then definitely we can conclude that it is not significantly affecting the variable. So from here we can easily find out the product price doesn't significantly affect the customer satisfaction. Why? Because the p-value is less than 0.05. In fact, the t statistics also, the t-value is less than 1.96. 1.96. So that is how it works here. Okay. So now the question is, this shows all the direct effect. See, look at here, the direct effect. Customer preference, customer satisfaction, customer loyalty. All the direct effect shows here. Second, if you want to report your mediating variable now comes to the mediating variable. So in order to understand the mediating variable, you have to click this specific indirect effect in the left side of your window. Specific indirect effect. If you click here, the specific indirect effect, it will gives you all the relationship here. You can find, see, customer interaction, go to the customer satisfaction, then go to the customer loyalty. Same thing, product price goes to the customer satisfaction, go to the customer loyalty. So all these 5 independent variables, this table will present all the indirect effect of all these 5 independent variables through the customer satisfaction. And how do you know whether this relationship is significant or not? You see all the p-values. Except the product price, all the independent value has significant mediating effect on the customer loyalty based on the p-value. Based on the p-value. So this is the indirect effect. This is the indirect effect. Okay, and just using this indirect effect, you can definitely conclude that all this independent variable has significant mediating effect on the customer loyalty. However, in order to give a comprehensive overview of your mediating variable, I must show you the one slides that which is very important, because nowadays a good journal also asks for what type of mediating variable do you have, because there is a different types of mediating variables are there. So let me show you the mediating variables. Okay, here. So in the mediating variable, when you consider as a full mediation, when actually you consider there are 3 different type of mediation. One is a full mediation, partial mediation, and no mediation. I hope everyone can see my slides here. This is very important a concept, because most of us, we just summarize our paper and say, oh, we have a mediation, but that is not enough for you to comprehend. So what does it mean by the full mediation? What does it mean by the partial mediation? What does it mean by no mediation? So the full mediation actually talks about the direct effect between X and Y is not significant, but the indirect effect is significant. That means, for example, if you look at product quality, if the product quality doesn't have any direct effect on the loyalty, however, the indirect effect is important, then we can say the product quality has full mediation. Full mediation. Now, when it is a partial mediation, when direct effect and indirect effect both are significant. When direct effect and indirect effect both are significant. See, both the direct effect and indirect effect are significant. That means it has partial mediation. Partial mediation. And no mediation means there is no indirect effect available. For example, in our scenario, the product price doesn't have any mediating effect. So you must explain that. Explain that. Now, you will be surprised to know that even in the full mediation and partial mediation, there is a 2 category. One is a complementary mediation, one is a substitute mediation. Complementary mediation or substitute mediation. Now, how do you know that complementary mediation and substitute mediation? See, if your t-value or your beta value is positive, if your beta value is positive, it has complementary mediation. If your beta value is negative, that is considered as substitute. So now, when you talk about complementary, what does it mean? It means if you increase service quality, it will also improve customer satisfaction. Eventually, it will improve your customer loyalty. In other words, all the three variables actually have the similar direction, goes up or goes down together. So that is called complementary mediation. It can be complementary full mediation, complementary partial mediation. And then what is substitute? That means, for example, assume in our context that product price has some significant mediation. So we find out there is a negative standardized value, standardized beta value. So in that case, that means if you increase the price of the product, the customer satisfaction will minimize and customer loyalty will also minimize. See, it creates a substitute. So that means one increase, other will decrease. They go in a contradictory direction. That is considered as substitute mediation. So you must actually explain all these things in your paper. It's not only that you can justify that you have a mediation. You have the mediation. You must say whether it is a full mediation, partial mediation, even in a full mediation, what type of mediation, is it complementary or substitute or not. So this is the guideline for you to give a comprehensive analysis for your mediating effect. I think already is 1 o'clock. Probably I may not show you the moderation for today's session because most of you have to pray. So I will complete session here now. And in the next, on 14th of March, I will show you moderation. I will show you multi-group and as well as NCA. Is that okay with everyone? Or I can continue also if 1:30, I don't have, I really don't mind.
I think, Prof, you can show the moderation at least. Moderation.
Okay, sure. Sure. Good. So let's go back to our data file here. Okay, go back. Go back here. You have to go back because you have to redraw the model. So then you can click yes. So click the customer loyalty and come back to your model designing process here. See, in the moderation, usually you should use the categorical variable. That is the ideal way to use the moderating variable. If not, also can be continuous variable, you can use it. So in our data, you see, you can find one called gender, which is categorical, male and female. So just for your make it easy purpose, I click the gender and take it here. You have to redraw the model actually. So click here the gender. And once you click the gender, it will show already 0 and 1. 0 and 1. Because there are only two options. 0 is one category, 1 is another category. Usually by default, they put it here. So after that, you have to click the connect. And in that connect, you can, here the arrow must not go on the variable. It must go on the line because it is moderating variable. So if you click here, similarly, you can click here. Similarly, you can click here. And also you can click here. And also you can click here. Assume that your hypothesis is that gender moderate the relationship between all independent variables with mediating variables in our context. In our context. So again, here we have to focus on our interaction. Interaction. Okay. There is no direct effect or indirect effect. Instead, we have to find out what is the interaction. So the easy way of interpreting the moderating variable is click the calculate and bootstrapping. Okay, again, you have to do the bootstrapping and click start calculation. Don't worry, here again, you have to look at the direct effect actually. Sorry, interaction effect. Okay. So you have to click the path coefficient and measure this interaction effect here. You see here, this is considered when you get the sign of this multiple sign, I mean this cross sign, it shows this is the interaction relationship. So gender interact with product quality, interact with the customer satisfaction. So what you can find out that this one p-value is significant, whereas the gender with consumer preference, gender with the customer interactions are not significant. Gender with product quality is not significant. What does it mean? You can say that despite whatever the gender you belongs to, product quality plays a very important role in order to satisfy the customer. So regardless male or female, both they agree the product quality is very important. That's why this relation is not significant. Whereas gender with the social media presence, you see, this relation is important. That means somehow or other, there is a difference between male and female toward the relationship between social media presence and customer satisfaction. Okay, we will know about it later, that by using the simple slope analysis. I will show you. Don't worry about that. Okay, so here first we have to identify that what are the interaction relation are significant. So from here we can clearly find out that there are two relationships, which is one is social media and also product price. This is a very interesting findings you can find here, because throughout the analysis, when we talk about the relationship between the variables, the product price shows it's not significant. Whereas when there is a moderating effect, when you try to measure the moderating effect of male and female, this relation shows a significant effect here. So that means there is a significant difference between male and female toward the effect of product price on customer satisfaction. So you can easily conclude that based on this interaction effect, we can find out the two relationships are significant. The gender significantly moderate the relationship between social media and product price toward the customer satisfaction. First, you ensure that. First, you have to ensure that whether is there any significant moderation or not. Now, once you understand that yes, there is significant moderation exists in your study, next you have to find out, okay, let's see what is the main differences on who has what. So in order to identify that, we must use simple slope analysis. Simple slope analysis are very, very important. So how do you get the simple slope analysis? Okay, let me show you how to get the simple slope analysis. So in order to get this, see again, the step of moderating analysis, first ensure that the significance is exist. Once you confirm, then go back, click to edit, click to calculate, and PLS algorithm. So for the moderation, first do bootstrapping, then come back to the PLS-SEM if there is a significant moderating effect exists. If not, you don't have to come back to the PLS algorithm. So you click the PLS algorithm and start calculating. So when you start calculating, the interesting things that you can find here, one, consider simple slope analysis in the left side. You can find in the final result, there is a simple slope analysis. So you click the simple slope analysis. So in the simple slope analysis, you see, you can easily find out all the important things. See the interesting part here. When you look at this product quality, despite it is not, you see, there is no, I could say that significant relationship between gender and product quality. That's why it is intersect. That's why it is intersect, because it is not significant. We need to know about only one simple slope analysis is which one? The social media presence. Okay, how the social media presence actually refer here. 1 second. This is the social media presence because this is the significant one. This is the significant one. And what you can find from here, when the gender is 0 and when the gender is 1. So here, gender 0, I know because when you code your gender data, the 0 is female, 1 is the male. That's what actually they focus here. So what actually they said that if you look at the red color one, is slope is in the upwards. So it means if your brand or if your product presence in the social media, here the presence means what? The customer can see your presence in the social media, lots of ad, lots of talks about your product. So the more you have your presence in the social media, the girls will be satisfied more, the female customer will be satisfied more. That's why the red color one, you see, it's upward, whereas the green color one, you see, you cannot find any kind of slope there. So you can easily conclude that the male consumer are not really concerned about the social media presence, whereas due to this upward slope, due to this upward the slope, I mean, sorry, I could say that since the slope is going to the upward for the female consumer, it means the more the social presence for that particular product, the female consumer will be more satisfied. Why we have to focus here? Because according to our P value, it shows that this relation is significant. That's why you have to talk only this metric. Other relationship you don't have to talk about. No need, because it is not significant. And also you find out the product price. You look at the interesting thing is product price here. If you look at for the male consumer, the slope is downward. The slope is downward. And whereas the female one is upward. This is very interesting thing, and it shows a very good equilibrium here. In one point, they are both the same. In one point, both they are same. However, the differences exist here and here, in here. So what does it mean by looking at this simple slope analysis? That most of the male consumer, they are very satisfied when the price goes down. Price goes down. See, the more toward, they will be highly satisfied when the price goes down, whereas the female, they are identically different in the price decreasing here. That means for the female consumer, for that particular product, you see, if the product increase, they will be highly satisfied. We don't know why. We don't know why. Probably the researcher can find out by using the necessary conditioning analysis, probably. However, from this analysis, we can clearly say that when the price decrease, the male consumer will be highly satisfied, which is contradictory to the female consumer. The females actually don't feel satisfied when the price reduced. Why? We don't know, or probably we will do further analysis to understand that characteristics. So we are not going deep into that, but based on this simple slope analysis, we can conclude that this is the findings. So when you apply the moderating effect, first thing first, what you need to do is you have to conduct your bootstrapping, identify which of the interaction relationship is significant. Once you identify those relation, then only apply simple slope analysis to give the conclusion. I think that's all,
Yes.
Dr. Sharif, for mediating and moderating. So if you have any question, please do ask.
Yes, I think this is very, very controversial when you mention the prices goes up. Male customer are happy and female customer are unhappy. I think it is against the real picture.
Okay, that is a theoretical thing, because you see, Monirujaman, sir, you see, you have to understand, we are not going deep into why it happens, because our session is mainly focusing on data analysis part. I'm writing the paper on this data, so definitely we know we use different kind of, because for me, actually, this data we collected for the luxury brand. We have a different kind of settings to support that information, that why the female consumer are not, reluctant to reduce the price. It's a product context. So probably we can discuss about that matter in other way. But for this particular training, we just focus on the data analysis.
Okay, could you please repeat when we will proceed to simple slope analysis from moderation?
Okay, the first thing is you have to go for bootstrapping.
Okay.
Bootstrapping. First, do the bootstrapping to identify which moderating effect is important. Once you
Okay,
find
thank you.
out that yes, there is some relationship is exist, I mean significant, there is a significant moderation effect, then only proceed for the simple slope. But if there is a no moderation, I mean if you find out that there is no significant moderating effect is there, then you don't have to conduct this simple slope analysis, because it will be redundant for you. I mean not redundant, it is I mean irrelevant, not relevant for you, because there is no relationship is significant. So first you have to ensure through the bootstrapping and then come back to the PLS algorithm.
Okay, I got it. Thank you so much.
Prof, let's open the floor for questions. Thank you, Dr. Arun, for such a comprehensive and insightful session. We will now open the floor for questions for some moment. Please feel free to ask any questions you may have regarding PLS, SEM, or anything discussed during the session. Our speaker will be happy to address your queries.
From the feedback point, I can mention this is a very attractive and it is very, I mean, innovative session. We learn a lot of things from Prof. Arun Kumar. Sir, thank you very much for your very elaborative explanation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your positive remark, and wish you all the best. Wish you all the best.
Do any of you have any questions?
Hello,
Sir,
sir. Sir. Sir.
sir, will you get the recording of the session, video recording?
Yes, this recording will be shared in our YouTube channel. You can find it as maybe by today. I will share the link with you through email.
Okay, okay. Video channel link will be get from.
We'll email you.
Email.
You. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, sir. I'm asking a question. Sir, here we are observing in the moderation, gender moderating in all aspects. But if it doesn't moderate, then how the relationship will be explained?
You can just conclude that there is no significant moderation. So if there is
Then
there is no significant moderation, you don't have to forcefully say that there is a significant moderation. There is nothing like that. Even if the prior study find out that yes, there is a significant moderation, and in your study you cannot find, that could be a new look. That could be a new look. See, always remember in the research, don't cut your leg according to the shoe. This is your research, you have a different context, your respondents are different, you conduct your research in different culture. So not necessarily that what is happening in USA example, and it will happen in some other part of the world. So if you don't get any significant relationship, not necessarily only for the moderation, it can also be applicable. See, in my study, price is not important. Don't you think that is a little bit weird? Like, how come price is not important? But yeah, that is what happened here. So as a researcher, we need to find out what could be the reason that price is not important. Just now, what did I mention? That in my context was luxury good. So when you look at the luxury good, definitely my respondent was the rich people. So rich people may not focus on the price. Think about Apple products. So you have to justify your findings. In fact, for the Apple product, if the price really measured, then they will not sell that product to you. So as a researcher, don't force yourself to find out why there is no relation. As long as your sample is good, as long as you collect data ethically and you never manipulate your data, then definitely whatever the result comes, you should present it with confidence. With confidence, and try to find out what could be the reason for this kind of discrepancy. And if there is a discrepancy, it is a good sign for you, for your study. That you don't have to always show that, hey, see, prior study also fine, I also find. Prior study also fine, I also find. That means you are reinventing the same thing. Then there will be no novelty, there will be no originality of your study. In fact, when I find out there is no significant relation, I think like, wow, that's great. I can say something new here. Yes, someone else raised the hand. Okay, before that, I hope that my answer is justify your doubt.
Okay, sir.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof, for your excellent presentation. It will help us a lot. And I have a question. If HTMT is below 0.86 or 0.85, then what to do?
It should be below 0.85.
If it is more than, if it is more than 0.85.
Okay, if it is more than that means, okay, theoretically, if you look at theoretically, just now I already mentioned what does it mean by discriminant validity. When discriminant validity wouldn't give you a good, I could say the value, when there is no identical differences in your variable, then only you can find that the value becomes very high. You have to understand. Okay, I give you a very simple scenario to make you understand this discriminant validity. Assume that in your parents, your father wants to know how good he is. Your father wants to know how good he is, and he called his two sons in the sample, two sons, and asked how good I am. So definitely the result will be biased because both sons will say, "Father, you are my role model. Father, you are my role model." That means these two variables that you select have the same nature. Have the same nature. This is the reason the answer become biased. So in what if your father wants to know how good he is, he should bring one of his friend, he should bring one of his colleague, he should bring one of his unknown person, then only you can get the good discriminant validity. So when you select, when you develop your conceptual model, make sure that your all the variables are not in similarly attached to each other. For example, you want to measure the employee motivation. So you take salary is one variable, bonus is one variable. See, salary and bonus almost same. Almost same. Right? Because everyone will say, okay, I need salary. Everyone say, I need bonus. So definitely the discriminant validity will be high there. So in order to get a good result in the discriminant validity, make sure that the construct your model is logical and theoretically supported.
If the result after calculation, if the result comes like so, the more than 0.85, then what to do?
Again, I'm saying, sir, you have to understand, I will not encourage you to do the data fabrication or data manipulation, sir.
Okay.
That is unethical. As in fact, you see, this channel will go for everyone. So people will think that, oh, I'm promoting data fabrication, I'm promoting data manipulation. Please, it is totally unethical.
No, I'm not actually not telling about.
Prof, we're actually running out of time.
Okay.
Please fill up the attendance form. There is an option in the attendance where you can ask question actually. So thank you, Dr. Arun, for such a comprehensive and insightful session. We have to now end the session for today. I'd like to extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Arun Kumar Tarofder for his wonderful presentation and to all of you for participating in today's workshop. Your active involvement made this session truly engaging. I would also like to remind everyone to join us for the next session scheduled for March 14, 2025. On behalf of the Collaborative Research Platform and the Department of Business Administration, Bangladesh University, thank you once again for being with us today. Have a great day ahead, and we look forward to seeing you at the next session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Monica.
Thank you so much.